Yeah, welcome to Thanksgiving special for our American friends. We're up in Canada, so we've already had ours. Fantasy Happy Hour episode 26. We got a 3-game slate. Nice Thursday. If you're working from home, it's going to be making work a little bit easier. I know I'm working from home, so game starts bright and early, 10:30 or 11:30. I think 10, maybe 11:30.
10:30 your time.
10:30 my time, so beautiful, and it's my favorite team. So I get to watch Deshaun Watson and the fellas get out there. That'll be great. But yeah, we're just going to cover this one a little bit differently, or the same way as our typical Thursday one, just game by game. And first up, we got the 10:30 game. Taryn, you want to jump into it for us?
Yeah, Houston at Detroit, and Houston gets a big win over the Patriots last week. And Deshaun Watson's playing at an unbelievable level right now. Like he's up there in the probably top three quarterback plays right now. There was a stat that came up today that he's accounted for 88% of Houston's offense this season, which means they're getting very little productivity out of the run game. So he has to basically do it all. And he is doing it all. So Detroit got shut out and didn't even get in the red zone. So this game, to open it up, looks like this is actually the most explosive game on this Thanksgiving slate. And I think you see this slate kind of work where highest points seem to be in the first game and then it works down. And the night game looks like two good defenses. So where do we go in fantasy in this one? I mean, Houston, I think you start, if you're playing the 3 game, start with Deshaun Watson. He's my number one quarterback on the slate. He's just getting it done in multiple ways, getting it done with his legs again. He's rushing for 40, 50 yards a game. He's passing to a whole onslaught of guys. I think in that last game, he threw for 300, but he threw to so many different guys that none of the receivers had that good of a game. It was really all him. So it was kind of crazy. But he's like the number one quarterback on the slate, and probably your number one option if you're playing the showdown single games, because there is a mix of both on this. Detroit's defense is horrible. Detroit is horrible. So I mean, I think Curtis Samuel, Robbie Anderson, and DJ Moore got easily open on them last week. So I mean, if you want to play any of the receivers in Houston land, I mean, you got Fuller, you got Cooks. It sounds like Cobb's going to be out, I believe, and Stills probably isn't going to play still. So you can go to Kiki Kuti at 3,400 too. He'll be that third option. Fuller and Cooks are always in play. I kind of like Cooks. He's getting more air yards. Fuller does have that deep ball threat, but I think Cooks has just been a little bit better in fantasy. And then the tight end situation was going to be my question to Justin here because, like, I don't know who to pick. Pharaoh Brown is their third tight end. He ran more routes than Darren Fells last week. Akins, of course, had the biggest game of the three, but Pharaoh Brown's been more and more involved. And then they just had a guy come off IR. They're a young rookie. Forget his name. So I don't know if they're all going to play, but what's your favorite receiver tight end in this game, Justin?
Okay, so I'm fairly new to NFL in terms of like my lifetime, right? Like I only started watching NFL about 4 years ago, so I still don't know like the intricacies of the sport quite like hockey. Whereas like, so for example, I would not pick up on if like when Stills and Cobb are out and a few other receivers that they're gonna now start playing like two tight ends for their pass game, and as opposed to most teams usually just have, or depending on their offense, I guess usually have one for the most part. So I would have not picked up on like that there was like this many injuries, and that I should have maybe considered playing Akins or Fells, maybe even Farrell Brown, which I did not even consider until watching the game. So there's like little things like that where I still didn't quite pick up. And then I'm watching this game and I was like, Farrell Brown, what receiver is that? I've never heard of him. And then I scrolling through, I'm like, oh, and third tight end. They're running three tight ends. And
Yeah.
personally, right now, I mean, Akins is like you can't. He had what, like 83 yards or something, no TDs. And he was, I don't know, they're both him in between him and Darren Fells and even Farrell Brown. I think Farrell Brown had 2 or 3 catches. I think they're all like $3,500 or
Yeah,
around
yeah.
there. They're all the
They're
same
less
price.
than 3K, all of them.
Yeah. So I mean, if you're gonna risk it, I would say probably Akins. Big boy. He caught 6 or 7 catches last week, no TDs. So I can see that in this game where even if they don't target him as much, he might get targeted in the red zone a little bit more, just because now Deshaun definitely knows that option's available. In terms of receivers though for this game, I mean, Will Fuller, if he has that big game, is like, it's going to be awesome and you're going to love your life. But Brandon Cooks, like every game is just so consistent and you're probably going to get the 20 points out of him. It sucks to see when he had that TD last week and then it didn't quite count. Otherwise that would have been great for him. But yeah. And then obviously, I mean, you can't fade Deshaun Watson in this game. His big Russian touchdown last week. Love to see it. I don't follow the lines too much, so I'm not too familiar on who to pick there. But yeah, I'm excited for this one. This one, if we win it, I mean, the playoff hopes are still slightly alive somehow. But
yeah, I think for me, the Detroit side of the ball is pretty much. I expect DeAndre Swift to be back, and he is the best running back there. And if he's back, I'll play him in every lineup. He's the best running back there. And of course, Houston run D again is just terrible. So if he's playing, go there. Their receiving core, it looks like they won't have Holiday, won't have Amendola. So you have Jones, Hall, Cephas, and Agnew. Agnew had 6 targets last week. He's a bit sneaky if you want to go somewhere there or just take a one-off on any of these receivers there. And then Hawkinson's consistent again. Run with him. I don't mind playing the Houston D, and I know they're not great, but maybe take a shot on them because of Detroit getting shut out by Carolina, who's not a great D. But yeah, overall, this game has some good shootout potential. I like DeAndre Swift and then Deshaun the best. Maybe we'll jump over to Washington and Dallas. Dallas gets to play on Thanksgiving every year, so we get to see them every year. And the one guy who loves Thanksgiving and seeing them every year is Amari Cooper. So on the offense for Dallas, I really like Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. I really like this passing game for Dallas. Washington is good in the front 7, so they're still getting to the quarterback, but Dallas did get no lineman back. Minnesota wasn't that able to get pressure on them as much as I thought they would last week, and then of course blew it in the last couple minutes there, but it's besides the point. And but Zeke's also getting a ton of work. So you can look to Zeke. He's been getting 23 targets again. He's running the ball well. But my favorite play on this side is Cooper and Lamb. I don't like Gallup. He's dropping passes weekly now, and it's just not been great. And then Dalton Schultz is an option at tight end, but I'm seemingly every tight end on the slate is good. You have Hawkinson, you have Fells, you got Akins, you got Schultz, Logan Thomas, Ebron, Andrews. Like, it's all the tight ends you want to play on a weekly basis, but they're all on the slate. So the double tight end build might work in this one. And then Washington's side of the ball, I mean, the 2 running backs get like 15 to 20 points a game. So you look to Gibson, McKissick. McKissick's had 34 targets in 3 games. Like, it's just insane. Alex Smith just throws down. He can't even, he hits McLaurin, but like the amount of times he's checking down in McKissick is just insane. A running back getting 33 targets. A cool way to stack this whole slate might be to play Gibson and McKissick in the same lineup because they both kind of play different roles. Gibson gets all the red zone run, and McKissick will just catch passes for you. And then Terry McLaurin's probably the safest receiver on this whole slate. He just gets his 12 to 25 points a game, and then it makes Justin's hair look good. So Logan Thomas could be that bounce back game too, if you want to go there. And then both defenses in this one, I think they're playable. These both teams that are susceptible to that. These teams did play back in week 7, and it was 25-3 for Washington, and Andy Dalton threw for 75 yards. So if you want to take a look at that game, Gibson, McLaurin, Thomas all have 15 points or more, and the defense had 17. So that's kind of a comparable. But in Showdown, I like going to both of the passing sides. So either Cooper, Lamb, or McLaurin as your captain. But do you have any thoughts on this one? Little Dallas Washington action.
Yeah, this last week here I played Elliott. Whoops, sorry, I accidentally almost muted the meeting. I played Elliott, so I really like him in the run game for this one. Andy Dalton actually had quite a decent comeback week with 3 TDs and 203 yards. Even a little bit of rushing action there. I think 3 yards or so, or 3 rushes for 5 yards or something like that.
Monster.
Pardon?
Monster rushing power there, eh?
And 0.5 points. Every point counts. And then, as he said on the run or on the passing game, though, I like Amari Cooper a little bit more than CD Lamb. Just because if you look at the past few weeks here, I mean, they're both relative. I shouldn't say that. Last week for sure, though. Relatively same points, and CD Lamb did have a TD. Whereas,
nice catch, too.
Yeah, very nice. So, I mean, I would maybe slightly favor Cooper. He was also cheaper last week. I'm not sure about what he is this week. So if he is cheaper, I'd probably lean to that a little bit. Like you said with the tight ends, though, like everyone we want to play minus Hayden Hurst is so. I mean, I think you're safe playing any of them. On the Washington side, I was a little bit disappointed because I took McLaurin. Is that how you say it, McLaurin? This week, and I think he put up 14 points or 15 points. So.
Sorry, it's moving the mic.
And so, but I probably would. I don't think I'm going to be taking anyone really. Maybe Logan Thomas from the Redskins and maybe their defense, maybe.
Oh, wrong name. The football team, Justin.
Oh yeah. Damn. Shake my head.
I actually like the Gibson, Antonio Gibson. He's just been good in the red zone, and he's rushing really well. So I think you can go there too as one of your running backs. But you want to bounce over to the nightcap?
Let's go over to the nightcap.
Well, early news. Special. Yeah, early news here in this one. The Ravens got the COVID. So as of now, J.K. Dobbins and Mark Ingram will not play. They're on the COVID list. But I heard the news today broken. It was several players. So we haven't heard of anybody else yet. But those are the two big names. So you're without Dobbins after he finally has a breakout game. One we've been waiting for all year from Dobbins is because the other two running backs have just been so inefficient. And every time he got the ball, it was electric. So it was kind of annoying to see. But we look to Baltimore. Maybe you run Lamar. I mean, you can keep trying this Lamar, but he just doesn't look the same this year. He is still rushing 50 yards a game over his last 3. He is efficient in the pass game, but it seems like he's efficient to guys that, you only want to play really. Mark Andrews in fantasy. Last week, his second best receiver outside of Mark Andrews was Dez Bryant, the old skeleton of Dez Bryant coming back here. So I know Willie Snead is the other guy. Like I don't understand this receiving core. Marquise Brown just seems gone. Like I don't know where he went. Lamar last time he played the Steelers, because they did play in week 8. He had 2 picks, I think 2 sacks and a fumble. Pittsburgh Steelers had, I think, 17 points in that game, and they beat them 28-24. So if you want to look to the history with these two teams, if they're injury riddled and don't have a good run game or anything working, they're going to struggle against this defense, who still looks really, really good. I do like Gus Edwards as the next running back. Last time they played, he was averaging about 5.4 yards per carry, which is really efficient against this defense. And usually you can attack the Steelers a little bit through the run. So the by far best play on Baltimore, though, is, of course, Mark Andrews, but that's another tight end that we have to fit in here somewhere. The double tight end build, I imagine, in this slate is going to be super popular, just because you have some of the lead receivers on your teams being the tight end. But if you jump over to Pittsburgh, Big Ben's playing well again. He didn't play that well against this Baltimore team last time, so it's a little bit uncertain. It looks like they'll be without Juju, but that's still a bit of a questionable tag. But Big Ben's my second favorite QB on this slate. He's been just throwing the ball a lot. Their run game sucks. He's been super efficient, and he has the weapons. Like, that receiving core is one of the best in the league. And I like leaning into Claypool. I think everybody's going to go back to Deontay Johnson. I did mention him last week. He had an awesome game, another 15 targets or something. But I like going to Claypool down as a deep threat. He had, I think, 15 points against Baltimore last time. And Deontay Johnson actually got shut out, but I think he did get hurt in that game. But if you want to stack this, you go Johnson, Claypool. You could toss in some James Washington at some min price. I don't like the run game for the Steelers. It just hasn't been good. And even when it has a decent game, it's only about 12, 14 points. So that's not my favorite. But Eric Ebron, another great play in this game, and another tight end. So I like him. 5 or more targets lately. He's the red zone guy against a Baltimore team that's pretty strong defensively. So, I mean, you got to find kind of those sneaky plays. Maybe that's James Washington. Maybe that's a Willie Snead or a Des Bryant. Maybe Des gets to go and throw up the old axe out there. And we'll see how that goes. But how do you like this nightcap? You think it'll go high total, low total?
I think it'll be like middle of the road. I don't think it'll be crazy, 26, 20, 1, something like that.
Yeah.
But I'm a big, like this weekend I took Claypool, was, happy with him again. I think that was his 10th TD this year, which is sweet. Big old Canadian boy from Abbotsford or somewhere like that. Great YouTube channel too.
Yeah.
Subscribe to him. Maybe if there's like one or two people that comment or watch this that go subscribe to Chase Claypool, let them know we sent you. But obviously, you won't be mistaken by going with Johnson as well. He had 26 points this week, which was great. Big Ben, not the best QB choice in my opinion, but for like this slate, but still will get you probably 20 points if you do like maybe cheap down. Is that a good word to say? Cheap down? Probably not. But then like on the other side of the ball, the only person I'm really looking at is Andrews. I'm probably going to fade every tight end but Andrews and Akins. I think I'm going all in on that stack right there.
Yeah, you got to pick your spots on such a small slate. I mean, you got to find a way to get different. And I think the key to this slate is leave salary on the table too. Like, I mean, if you just play a full build, it's going to be copied, or what's the word I'm looking for, duplicated. So if you do win, you're going to be splitting. So try to leave some money on the table, take a shot in every game on a guy that won't be owned. And I guarantee that guys like DeAndre Swift, Ezekiel Elliott are going to be your high price guys. So maybe you take a shot elsewhere at the running back position. Maybe that's Gus Edwards. Justice Hill is going to be another fill-in. The wide receiver, McLaurin, will probably be like 50% owned in this, I would think. He's the best receiver. Claypool will be high owned too, so maybe you take your shot down with James Washington in Pittsburgh. He'll be that third man in if Juju doesn't play. You just got to take a stab. Maybe build double tight end, triple running back off, stacking two receivers with the same team but not the quarterback. Try new things, see how it goes. It's such a small slate, but thanks for all the support lately, guys. We've been getting lots of views on these videos. So I hope that continues, and check out the other ones if you get a chance.
Yeah, and we're going to be dabbling into some other sports here. Me and Terry need to make a little content calendar of upcoming sports events and kind of dial in which ones we're going to do. But yeah, be on the lookout. It should be some new content coming your way. And then once COVID's over, we'll be able to get into some other stuff too. We're kind of limited right now, but yeah. Thanks, and we'll see you in the next one. Whoop whoop.
Signing off.